Hello. In this screencast, I want to talk about how tricky it can be sometimes to find a record in Hollis owing to idiosyncratic features of call number styles and also variations in spelling. And these are problems that can throw your search off a bit and require a little bit of additional sleuthing before you can find a record. The card I'm looking at is here in the middle. We'll take a moment to scan this card and see what we're trying to find. You'll see that there are 3 different call numbers printed on this card. 2 pamphlet call numbers, PV29 number 3, PV13 number 14, and a BML style call number without date, 23D 109. It isn't necessarily easy to tell that that is a D rather than an O, but having conducted this search in advance of the screencast, I will at least tell you that much. Now, about the pamphlet call numbers, if you consult the Countway classification styles document that's stored in our Dropbox folder, you'll get a little bit of information about that and other distinct and idiosyncratic call number styles that Countway uses. So we see 3 call numbers, and we also see what look like 2 distinct printings of this work. An 1857 printing in Vienna and an undated printing in Hamburg. So ideally, we would like to find at least 3 different holding statements for these 3 call numbers. And maybe some of them will turn up in the main spreadsheet, or more likely, given the use of the pamphlet call numbers, these will turn up in CHOM. So to start looking in Hollis, I'll start, as I always do, with a call number. I'll start with the topmost call number, PV29 number 3. Now, what is unusual about this case is that a search for PV29 number 3 pulls up a record for a completely different work. We're looking for a work with a German language title that was published in 1857, and we have something here that was published in New York in 1865. It's something utterly different. So a search on that call number, at least, leads us nowhere. Now, there's something else going on here that I'll return to later. So what you might do is try searching on some of the other call numbers, but let's suppose that you didn't do that. Let's suppose that at this point you decided to search on at least a fragment of the title of this work. So what I'm going to do is look under a title search for the first few words of this title, Abhandlung und Notizen über. So let's try that. Confirming that it looks correct. The umlaut over the U doesn't matter when you're searching in a title generally. And that doesn't pull up a record either. You're not going to find a bib record for this work if you search for it that way. So it's beginning to look somewhat discouraging. Now, to make what could potentially be a very long story short, you will be able to find a record for this. There are a couple of ways that you can get a record out of Hollis from this photostat card. You can try searching on PV13. And we're looking for PV13 number 14. And this gives us a match. And we can confirm that. We've got 48 pages. We have what looks like a speculative creation date, but it is 1857. But if we look in the holding statement, we'll see a number of CHOM holding statements here, and we can confirm that these three call numbers are all present. We have 23D109, we have PV13 number 14, and we have what is actually not merely PV29 number 3, but quarto. That's what the 4-degree symbol means. Quarto PV29 number 3. But you're not going to find this call number in the record unless it's spelled this way. And that's not something that you should be expected to know in advance. But given this, we'll be able to mark each of the call numbers on this card as corresponding to CHOM records. And so we can mark the whole card as CHOM, and we can pronounce ourselves done with it. So the lessons to be learned here are, first of all, that spelling isn't standardized. Because if we go back and look at the title that's given in the bib record, it's not Abhandlung, singular, but Abhandlungen, plural. So a search in the title category under what is printed on the card is not going to pull up the correct record, which is frustrating, of course. And the other thing to note is that there can be idiosyncrasies in the way that call numbers are represented that can also frustrate your efforts at searching. But ultimately, if you keep trying different search terms, you'll get the record, and then you can mark the card as complete.